If you are having a hard time removing your brake rotor, then try this out. It's time to change the rear brakes on our newest project car, this 2003 Lexus IS300 Sport Cross. So I've done some routine maintenance, I've taken care of some repair items, and as I continue to do so in preparation for modifications, I'm going to take you through the how-to process of doing each one of these. So in today's video, I'm going to replace the rear brakes on our first generation Lexus IS300. So if you're interested in finding out how, then stay tuned. Four rotors, 4 pads, in the miscellaneous hardware, all was about $355 shipped. So I think that's fantastic. In looking at the OEM, both the pads and the rotors, it would have been much, much more. Hopefully, the power stop are pretty good. I've never used them, so this will be the first time. If you've used these brakes or these rotors and you have some experience, leave your comment below. I'd love to hear from you. They are drilled and slotted. That's just how they come. I don't believe there was any other option. Personally, and I don't want to turn this into a whole drilled and slotted debate, but to me, I could care less. If they do improve cooling, okay, I'm not tracking this car. Do they look cool? Yeah, they do look pretty cool. Will they cause any problems through heat cycles, as in cracking? I don't know. I guess we'll keep an eye on it and we'll find out. First thing we're going to do is remove the caliper. There are 2 17mm bolts in the back. I'm going to break that loose. This will then loosen up. What we don't want to do is let this hang by the brake hose back here. So we are going to use a bungee cord and we'll secure it probably from the coilover to make sure that there's no stress on that brake line. Here's your 17mm bolt. And there's the other one. And here's your caliper. Let's make sure we secure it. And like I said, I have a bungee here. We're going to remove this little clip from this pin that's going across, and that'll allow us to slide this pin out. Now that we removed the clip from the pin, we need to remove this bracket. See how it's actually keeping the pin in place because the middle of the pin is thinner than the sides. So it's preventing it from moving and popping out. Nope, can't get it out. See how it's right in there? So we'll slide this out. And this bracket with this pin keeps the 2 pads from moving around. Now that can be removed. And see how it's thinner in the middle where that bracket catches it. Put that down, and now we have our brake pads. So here's one, and here's the pistons that we're going to have to compress before we put the new pads in. But before we do that, I'm going to spend a couple minutes cleaning all the hardware. Just a reminder, as you are using your wire brush to clean anything, it's going to create a lot of dust. And that's why I'm wearing my protective eyewear and a mask. You don't want to breathe this stuff in. So I've cleaned it. I've also used some compressed air to get the nooks and crannies, to get it out of there. Now I think we're ready to start compressing the pistons. If you are having a hard time removing your brake rotor, then try this out. So you can take a screw, a bolt, whatever it is, not a screw, take a bolt that fits into one of these smaller holes. And what you're going to do, and I'm using a drill here, drill this in. And as the bolt is inserting in, it's pushing up against this and separating it from the rotor. You can see there, it's pushed away. That made it look super easy. I'm telling you, this was seriously stuck. I'm gonna use a wire brush, clean it all up, wipe it down. I have some brake clean. Make sure that this is spotless before we put our new rotor on. Look how clean that is. I am going to take our new rotor and thoroughly clean this. It doesn't feel greasy, but a lot of these are shipped with a little bit of grease. So we did take off the grommet from the original. I'll insert the grommet here that has access to the spring that allows adjustment. If this was difficult to turn, you can put a screwdriver in there and you can spin that to help adjust it. I'm going to spray this down one more time. That way anything from my hands and from the rag that got on here should wash away. We put in our wire clip. The two hooks go on the side of the bleeder valve or on the end of the bleeder valve. Make sure that wire clip is pointing up and these squeeze in and push up against the sides of the pads. Your clip clips in to that wire underneath it. And you want to make sure, remember we took a picture, this dip is hanging on this edge right here. We're going to insert our pin. I cleaned it. I am going to apply some grease. We'll insert it and we'll secure it and it shouldn't move at all. You can see that without me being in the way here. So if you did it right, which I haven't yet, but that middle part that is thinner goes right in the middle, and we just have to raise that tip of the clip so it's on the edge here. There we go. Now make sure you attach the little clip right here. So we're all good. This can go back on. Make sure as you orientate the caliper back here to attach those two 17mm bolts that the hose is not kinked in any way. Make sure you remove the bungee cord. Don't want to leave that attached. Make sure you've torqued down the two 17mm bolts. Make sure the brake pads are facing the right direction, inwards instead of outwards. Make sure the retaining clip for the pads, the anti-vibration, anti-rattle, whatever you want to call it, are firmly in place with the end over on the lip. When you insert the pin, make sure you've inserted the pin and make sure that you've inserted the little clip at the end. We are done with the driver's side. I still have to go do the passenger side. And as I said, I'm also going to do the front brakes. I don't know if I'll be doing that today, but in the near future, I do have the same setup for the front. And while we're at it, maybe I'll be painting the front brake calipers. I don't know. Let me know what you think. But with that said, I think we're done for today. Thank you very much for joining, and until next time.